watch you laugh and see that amazing smile.
And it tastes like Jack when I'm kissing him. So I told him that I never really liked his friend.
Welcome home. Welcome to SuperMex Nation. The voice, and we're going to go a step further because I'm trying to get into that zone with you. The mind of Mexican America. How about that? I'm going to try to get into your psyche and the psychology of who and what you are and try to get you to understand what it is we're talking about on a basis of, you know, the most important items and issues of the day, and not just keeping up with the items and issues of the day, because that would quite literally be an all-day affair, but not quite. So what I want to do tonight is, in a short and abbreviated version, we're going to do about 20 minutes tonight, and we're going to be off, and then we're going to be followed by TV Musica, and I'm going to join Maria and maybe slightly embarrass myself a little bit, but here's the beauty. I don't get embarrassed, but I'm not an expert on the Spanish language, and it's been a long time, so working my way back to it. But I do not fear treading into waters that need to be treaded into. So tonight we're going to talk just to, and I want to call this a synopsis slash summary, bad word nowadays, but a synopsis and an encapsulation of what we did on the Monday night, which was, you know, in my opinion, you know, very important. And like I said, I know this is like you're eating steak every time. You know, we come on there, you're gonna have to digest this big mountain of meat, and it's not easy. You're gonna need some salad once in a while. You're gonna need appetizer. You're gonna need something to wash it down with. You're gonna need something other than just, you know, a big chunk of meat that is a big amount to swallow. So we talked about an initial analysis on the Mueller investigation into Russian interference. And I wanted to make sure we were clear, because having brothers Crow and Miller on the Monday night, you know, Brother Miller pointed out, you know, directly that it wasn't the Mueller report, and he's absolutely right. The full title is not that. It's the investigation into Russian interference. The problem is that once we get into the weeds when it comes to the political, and you take this document, this investigation, and it gets pulled either left or right, it no longer becomes what it initially was meant to be, which is an investigation into Russian interference in our past election. If you're a Republican, you don't want to hear about it because maybe you favor Trump and you don't want to hear anything negative that might cast a negative light or an aspersion on him. If you're a Democrat, you want to focus on that because you're hoping it does cast a negative light or aspersion. And what I'm trying to do is get you both to understand on either side. And if you're somewhere in the middle trying to make heads or tails of this in an even-handed and fair and an all-American fashion, not a Republican or Democrat fashion, but an all-American fashion, then you're quite literally zeroed in and targeted in without deviation on the facts and the information within the body of the document. So I'm going to keep you there. Now, I really don't give a damn tonight whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, but we need to make heads or tails of what was done and what we need to do. So I'm going to walk all that back. It was an investigation, yes. There are items there that are not favorable to the Trump administration or Trump himself, but I'm going to put that aside for now because we need to focus on the things that were actually factual and were done. I have a major issue with it, and some of you guys figured out that my primary concern is what was done to us and what we need to do to solve these issues and problems, because as of right now, I can tell you directly, that what was done well in advance of the election, 2016. It was calculated and goes back, at least within the body of the context of the document, it was at least 2014. I'm going to say it was probably earlier than that. Manipulating and moving pieces and people into position so that when the time comes, they can pull strings, push buttons, and these things begin to take place and enact. Things like buying up businesses that have to do with election material. Things that have to do with putting agents or personnel that are favorable to your government, in this case Russia, into the United States to do damage in a slow, methodical fashion going back years. That was all done. That's in the body of the document. So what I quite literally need you to do, especially in today's climate, political, and news media cycle, I mean, I can tell you directly, listen, I'm going to get to what I'm going to tell you to do. And you, please pay attention because it's very, very important. There's so much going on day to day. There's so much shrapnel and issue and negative diatribe that goes on in the context of one news cycle day in Washington and in our political world that it's really, really hard to keep a bead on a moving target. It's really, really hard to stay focused on something that's critical and important, because as we finally figure out one thing, we have 5 more things that come along that take our mind off that particular item. And a very, very important item, I might add. What I'm telling you is directly that I will not lose focus. I will not. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I don't care if you're Libertarian or Green. I don't care if you're conservative or liberal. It doesn't matter to me. There were things done, and I'm going to stay quite literally, like a soldier, focused on those items that I think are really, really critical to the well-being of our country. That is extremely important. So I'm not deviating from the path. If there is collateral damage on either side in terms of parties or partisanship, then so be it. You've heard me say, fry them all. I really don't care, because what I do care about is that our country's kept together in a fashion that moves us in one direction and quite literally keeps us from eating each other alive while real enemies are actually at our doorstep and inside the house already doing damage, already did damage. That's quite literally what I'm trying to get across to you, on this important night. So we will flesh out a few more items that, again, we're done. And I want to thank some of you guys, because you did mention, some of you messaged me and some of you posted on the Facebook page and in the forum that you may actually take an attempt and take a look at the document. I'm not saying you have to like it or love it if you are a Democrat or Republican. What I'm saying is stay focused and stay disciplined as an American. As an American. Not as a partisan, but as an American. Read the document, look for the factual items that were done to us, and start asking questions and start demanding that our leadership, and that means both parties, that means a presidency, that means a Congress, that means all of them, that our leadership actually start taking action to make sure that this doesn't happen again. I cannot be any more fundamentally clear than I am about that right now. That is extremely important, because Washington and leadership in Washington, whether it's presidency or Congress or any, will not act if we don't force them to act. They sit in the positions that they sit, presidency or Congress, quite literally because we put them there. If we start demanding as a whole that they start doing their damn job, and we specify which jobs they need to do, healthcare, national security, I can go on, then we can force them to do their damn job. But we have to say something, and we can't, with an obligatory tone, just sit there and allow whatever goes on to happen because, oh, I can't say anything because they're in my party. I said the other night, if you place your party before your country, then that is not patriotic. Then that is not all-American. You place your country before your party, you are patriotic. You are American. I'll argue that point with anyone, and I'll give my airtime to do so. If you have issue with me saying that, then quite literally you probably shouldn't be in the forum, you shouldn't be in the SuperMex Nation, because you got to start questioning what you're really doing, if you're really here for the country or you're really here for your party and your personal ideologies. I'll say this directly. I'm not in a good mood right now. I'm not really happy that we're moving and posturing to potentially attack or maybe go to war with a foreign country again, in the Middle East again. And I've stipulated and said to you guys directly that I was not in favor of the Iraq war. And I did not believe that there were WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, in Saddam Hussein's arsenal. And I did not believe that they posed a clear and present danger to our country as a whole. The God's honest truth is we are the most powerful military on the planet. That is a fact. Am I afraid of Iraq in that capacity? No. Am I afraid of Iran in that capacity? No. And make that a resounding no. Where we're going now and how we're doing it takes our eyes off the prize. Possible war in Iraq, obstruction of justice charges and defenses in the House and in the presidency and the administration, Department of Justice. All this stuff that's going on, all this chatter all over the place is quite literally designed and constructed to take your eyes off the most important items. In my view, whether you disagree with me or not, or whether you agree with me or not, I have watched now for more than a few years, more like a few decades, watched as our foreign policy as a country floundered and had no clear direction or vision. Now I'm going to say this. I mentioned this to someone today. I'll just say it. My son, we talked a little bit about it. Thank God he's good. He's back home from college. He's finished up his sophomore year, and he gets to hang out with mom and pop for a little bit and little sister. So we talked about this. We have had no clear, direct foreign policy. And that is no president, by the way, since Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and current President Trump. I see no clear foreign policy. The only thing that I've gotten today out of Donald Trump was that he wanted to not entangle us in any more wars and pull us out of the ones that we were in Afghanistan and in Iraq. That hasn't happened, and we're looking like we might get in another one. So my point is, not just to beat him up, but if you look at the body, up until from 1945 into 1991, we clearly and understandably had a direct foreign policy that pretty much any American could have articulated themselves. We knew who our primary enemy was, we knew what they were doing, and we knew what we had to do to forestall communism and those types of regimes from basically taking root all over the globe, and we fought them in a variety of ways, not militarily. It was a Cold War. Some of you guys forget that. I'm reminding you of it if you're old enough. It was a Cold War. It wasn't hot, it wasn't physical in action, but we won it. And we forestalled and prevented any type of physical confrontation in the form of a battle, a combat, or a war. Understandable. I'm not making excuses for or making light of. The fact is that was clear and understandable up until that time period between 1945 to 1991. Fast forward, 1991 to now, under multiple administrations, we have clearly lost our ball, lost the eye, and we do not know what we're doing. It's 4 to 8 year increments. Every time a new president comes in or another party comes in, and notice how it swings, right? It doesn't just stay with one, it goes multiple. And I really do believe that even if it were just one party in power, in the presidency and the Congress, for the entire time, we'd probably still have the same result. Because America has lost its will to understand the necessity of keeping freedom. You heard what I said tonight. We have lost our will to understand, to not be intellectually lazy, and to worry more about our party than what's being done to our country. That's a correct item, and it's visible all over the place for you. Look where we are now. Russia has reconstituted. It is no longer the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, but it has reconstituted itself and is pretty much pervasive all over the world. They're in our backyard now in Venezuela. They're all over the Middle East. They're knee-deep in Syria. We're not even in Syria anymore. We're supposed to be getting out of there. They're in Asia. They're in Europe, obviously, because of geography. African presence, and South American and even Central American presence to a degree. Okay, so they're all over the place. And in the meantime, what are we doing? We're sitting here arguing with each other about this and that as Republicans and Democrats. We're sitting here saying we're not going to go do that, we're not going to do that. There's no clear distinction as to what our foreign policy is. And in that vacuum of leadership that we are leaving, you can quote me on that too, in that vacuum of leadership that we are leaving over the course of multiple decades into now, Russia, China, and other not good players in our result, meaning they're not good for us. They have actively been aggressive. They have actively done things to put us on the back foot. They have done things that has lessened our position and our standing in the world. And it isn't. I'm going to make sure that we're really clear here. It isn't just, oh, I hate Obama. Oh, I hate Trump. It has nothing to do with that. They're thinking in multiple dimensions over many, many years, not just one isolated presidency every 4 or 8 years. They have vision, they have plan, they have strategy. And what do we have right now? A lot of bickering, arguing, crying, and complaining on all sides. You better wake the hell up, America, because if we keep going this route, the damage that is being done to us now and that was done to us, whether you want to admit it or not, it's a fact. It was done to us. That damage is cumulative. It's not standoff, one alone, one-off item. This stuff is being done over and successively over years and asymmetrically, not frontal, but in a variety of forms that has taken the place of traditional symmetric warfare where it's head on, hey, here's my army, here's yours. It's no longer that. I said the other night, underwater, there are things being done. You heard what I said, under the waves. They're calculating ways to attack us in ways we've never even thought of. In space, and I'm not just talking about a space station. I laid into Brother Jeff a little bit here. It's not just a space station. We're talking about satellites. Picture a railgun only from space back down. Inertia and the ability to do massive amounts of damage because of energy, kinetic energy. I may be going a little over your heads, but research it, check it out. This is legitimate stuff. Okay, so that, in addition to what was already done in cyberspace, the internet, and in other forms, those things are all being done to us right now. Yet we sit here arguing and complaining amongst each other, bickering back and forth to each other. We can't even get our heads out of the sand while we're getting hit. Again, we've already been hit. It hasn't stopped. And what I'm saying now, I'm not blaming any one president, but what I am going to say is right now, this administration needs to get on it and understand that we have been attacked. You can blame Obama, you can blame Bush, you can blame Clinton going back many years. But crying about what they didn't do isn't going to solve the problem now. I don't want people that are going to cry. That's not leadership. I want people who are going to stand up and take action. Don't sit there complaining about what the other guy didn't do. Do your job now. That's what we need now. Doesn't matter where you sit. I would say that for a Republican or a Democrat. It's absolutely irrelevant to me. At this point, too late in the game, too far down the road, lived too much life to give a damn about a D or an R and have to worry about, oh, I hate this guy more than I hate the other guy. Does not matter. What does matter is your country, your own patriotism, and a true belief in country before party. I want to make sure we're absolutely clear about that. I'm putting you on the spot. If you're in my nation, as we go forward and as we build, you check your party at the door when you watch this show. I may say some things you do not like, but it'll never be from an evil place. It'll never be from a malicious place. It'll never be from a place that's trying to score points one way or the other. That's absolutely irrelevant, absolutely unnecessary, and absolutely does not move my needle one way or the other. What does move my needle is watching people shake off the shackles and the blinders, being able to see and being able to focus on the most critical issues and absolutely forcing leadership through your action as Americans to take action and do something about the most serious issues of our day. You can quote me on this. Russia, Russian interference, and the things that have been done to us, it is an issue. It is one of the single most important issues that we will face, not just now or what has been done, but not just coming, and I'm talking about an election. He has, and I'm going to say this, Vladimir Putin has a global strategy that we are not matching and that we have not matched for multiple decades. Last call, ladies and gentlemen, that's on us. If we allow it, because we outsource our rights and our freedoms to a president or a Congress or a leader that only is concerned with getting elected the next time, then that's our fault. That is entirely our fault. That means us blowing it. I'll leave you with this last thought. I don't do comments a lot, quotes. I believe in original thought. There are a lot of great quotations, and it's easy to do that, correct? But there was one that was brought to me, and I reminded myself of. It was just after the Constitutional Convention. Yes, that document that we all say we love and that we abide by, but we quite don't, because we're watching it being trampled on right now. Right after the Constitutional Convention, Benjamin Franklin was leaving the hall, and a lady in the street asked him, "Sir, what form of government have you given us?" His response was, "Madam, a republic, if you can keep it." In other words, what he's saying is, he's given you this. They have given us this, the framers of our Constitution. The ability for us to enact, the ability for us to have freedoms and rights and responsibilities, rights, freedoms, etc., and responsibilities. They gave us that. They put the work in. Now it's up to us to maintain it. Now it's up to us to keep it. It's on us. That's where it goes. The buck stops everywhere. I don't believe that. But in this case, I'll tell you for myself, the buck stops here. I won't sit by idly and watch and pick a side. My side is with my country. I'm hoping that yours is also on my side. Thank you quite literally. Join us in a little bit. We'll be on TV Musica Live with Maria Rangel. Looking forward to that. I want you guys to come back and keep hitting hard items. Comment freely. It's a short episode, but this was about Russia. Comment freely. I want to see what you have to say. SuperMex Nation is out. Thank you very much.